Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the commanding officer, Colonel Bradford W. Tippett, welcome to the School of Infantry-East Relief and Appointment Ceremony, where Sergeant Major Luis Chino Leiva will relinquish his post to Sergeant Major William B. Painter III and retire 30 years of honorable and faithful service. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the invocation to be given by Pastor Michael Schwalm, Commander, United States Navy retired, and pastor of the Centerview Baptist Church.
Good morning, Colonel and Mrs. Tippett. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I asked the Colonel if I could just steal 1 second before I pray. This is the most surreal invocation I've ever given in my life. The Painters joined Centerview Baptist Church back in 2005. Chino and the Leivas joined Centerview in 2008. We have so many surreal moments, seeing the Chino children be baptized and performing Isaiah and Audrey's wedding and baptizing Miss Maria, Chino's mother. In fact, Chino baptized her, and seeing the Painters over the years and the Leivas over the years, it's amazing. My wife's uncle was the CEO of the School of Infantry here 30 years ago while I was XO Field Med, and there was a Marine that inspired the Colonel to join the Marine Corps. That was Diane's dad, who was a Sergeant Major, chosen reservoir survivor. And emblazoned in my mind is Chino several years back presenting the flag as one Sergeant Major to another Sergeant Major. And I'm forever grateful for both of these families and to the Lord for this privilege. Let us bow our heads in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, as we pause at the beginning of this relief, appointment, and retirement ceremony, we recognize you and worship you as our Creator God. We thank you today for being the author of every good and perfect gift in our lives. We thank you for the tremendous blessings that you have so graciously poured out upon our nation, upon the United States Marine Corps. We humbly ask that you would be at the center of our thoughts this morning, that you would be honored and glorified in today's events, that you would be Lord of this ceremony and Lord of our lives. We ask your blessings today upon the commanding officer of the School of Infantry-East, as well as all Marines and sailors under his marvelous command. We pray that you would enable them to continue to keep that sacred trust to helping our Marine Corps to be our nation's elite force and readiness, and every Marine, first and foremost, a rifleman. Dear Heavenly Father, Sergeant Major Leiva is honored today, and rightly so, for his dedicated and faithful service to you. We ask, dear God, that you would bless him, bless Colonel Tippett as he continues to lead in preparing Marines who are fully prepared to meet the challenges on the battlefields of tomorrow. As you have granted wisdom to Sergeant Major Leiva, and as he has faithfully advised Colonel Tippett, we likewise graciously ask, Heavenly Father, that you would give your wisdom and blessing to Sergeant Major Painter in the days, in the years ahead. We pause, Heavenly Father, to give you thanks today for all Marines and sailors who are forward deployed, some in harm's way. We ask that you would protect and encourage them and their families as they await their safe return. Lord, we not only give you thanks for Sergeant Major Leiva and his 30 years of honorable and faithful service to the Corps, we give you thanks for his dear wife, Brenda, who has stood beside him for 29 of those 30 years as his beloved. We thank you for her unfailing love, support, devotion, encouragement that she has shown her beloved Chino in countless ways, standing at his side throughout his career, keeping the home fires burning, enabling him to focus on the mission at hand over the years. God, we pray your continued blessings on Chino and Brenda and their precious children, Melinda, Isaiah, and Willie, their adopted son, all wearing the uniforms of their country today, following in the footsteps of service of their parents. We thank you for the sacrifices that they have made as they have moved around the globe alongside their husband, serving God, country, and Corps. Father, we just pause at the as we now begin the service, that you would just take charge, that you would be glorified, that you would continue to grant the School of Infantry the wisdom to train the Marines of the future. Father, may Chino and Brenda, as this is their extra special day, as they are now retiring and moving into life phase 2, we ask that they would savor these moments, dear God, that they would reflect fondly on them for the rest of their lives. God, we're thankful for the Marine Corps that gives us a banner of freedom under which we may be free to pray or not to pray. And under that banner of freedom, we offer this prayer in the name of my precious Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. Now taking his position as the commanding officer, the School of Infantry-East, Colonel Bradford W. Tippett. Sergeants Major, front and center, march. Since 1875, non-commissioned officers and staff non-commissioned officers have carried the non-commissioned officer's sword as a symbol of their ability and prestige as the enlisted leaders of the Marine Corps. The Sergeant Major, as the senior enlisted leader and advisor, is the keeper of traditions for his unit. Today's emblematic passing of the sword of office signifies that transfer of the sacred trust from one Sergeant Major to another. From Commandant of the Marine Corps to Sergeant Major Luis Chino Leiva, subject, relief as a School of Infantry-East Sergeant Major, effective 11/15 January 2021. You will stand relieved of your duties as Sergeant Major, School of Infantry-East, and transferred to the Marine Corps Retired List. Signed, David H. Berger, General, Commandant of the Marine Corps. From Commandant of the Marine Corps to Sergeant Major William B. Painter III, appointment as the School of Infantry-East Sergeant Major. Effective 11/15 January 2021, you are directed to assume the duties and responsibilities as the Sergeant Major of the School of Infantry-East. Signed, David H. Berger, General, Commandant of the Marine Corps. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to introduce the Sergeant Major of the School of Infantry-East, Sergeant Major William B. Painter III.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for everybody who has joined us virtually. Commanders, Sergeants Major, Master Gunnery Sergeants, and friends and family of the School of Infantry-East. This is certainly a great day for me. It's even greater day for Sergeant Major Leiva and his family, so thank you for your attendance. To the Corps, sir, thank you for making the trip down from Quantico, and Sergeant Major Easton, we appreciate you being here. It wouldn't be as good without you, and thank you personally for everything that you've done for me. I would not be here today without the love and support of my family, especially my wife Tracy, who's been with me my entire Marine Corps career. We're a boot camp or a boot leave marriage that's still together, so that might be some sort of Guinness Book of World Record, I don't know. But we're still together, and she was with me when I was a student here at Charlie Company ITB so many years ago. Thank you to Sergeant Major Boley and his crew. Set this up and made this a special event for Sergeant Major Leiva and his family. Truly appreciate that, and thank you to the band for adjusting your schedule to be here. I know you guys had to jump through some hoops to make it happen. We truly appreciate that, all right? There's nowhere else that I'd rather be right now than right here. I fought extremely hard to get here, and there's so many people, and I'm not going to name everyone who was instrumental in me being here, but there's so many folks that advocated for me to be here, and without their support and their confidence, I would not be here right now. So to them, and they know who they are, I will always be eternally grateful for your support and for your trust in me. To the team of School of Infantry-East, I've been very impressed with the amount of innovation and the hard work that's going on right now here at the school. It's exciting to come in to a scenario where we're not just executing training schedules, where we're trying to think of ways to enhance what we're doing here, to produce better Marines for the Fleet Marine Force. What a great time to be here, and I'm very happy to have the opportunity to bring my experience and my knowledge to the mix and contribute as much as I can to going forward to meeting the Commandant's intent and to continue to make this place sustain it as the great organization that it is. Colonel Tippett, sir, I look forward to serving as your Sergeant Major. I'm excited about our opportunity as a command team to continue to grow SOI East and continue to make it better. Sergeant Major Easton, yourself and Brigadier General Morris can be assured that the right Sergeant Majors at the School of Infantry-East. I recognize and value the opportunity that I've been given. I truly understand how great of a gift it is. I will cherish it, and I appreciate your trust and confidence. Sergeant Major Leiva, thank you for everything that you've done for the Marine Corps and for me. The transition has been fantastic. You brought me on board. You made me a member of the team. You even reached out to me before I even checked in and got together with the senior enlisted leaders and myself, and I showed up day one already feeling like I was a part of SOI's team. And that's been invaluable, and I think it's been a seamless transition. I think based on your wisdom and your leadership in that aspect, the School of Infantry-East will be better for that. There'll be a very no hiccup on the gap, and we'll just pick up and continue to go, and that's because of you and your leadership, okay, and your friendship, okay? Thank you, congratulations, and thank you to your family. I mean, 30 years of service is just, you know, something to be super proud of. I'm grateful for your honorable, faithful service to our nation, and I wish you and your family nothing but happiness and nothing but continued success going forward. And if you ever need anything, I'm always a phone call away. You're always welcome back here. You're always a part of our team, and you're always a part of our family. I know you're staying local, so we expect to see you around probably off and on, okay? Thank you very much, all right? Again, thank you, and Semper Fidelis.
Ladies and gentlemen, now taking his position as a retiring officer is Colonel Bradford W. Tippett.
Ready to be decorated and retire. Front and center. March.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of our national anthem and also remain standing for the presentation of the Retirement Award. The President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Legion of Merit Gold Star in lieu of Second Award to Sergeant Major Luis M. Leiva, United States Marine Corps, for service as set forth in the following citation. For exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding performance and service as Sergeant Major, School of Infantry-East, Training Command from September 2019 to January 2021. Sergeant Major Leiva was a force multiplier of the command's overall investment and development of its Marines and sailors. A synergistic partner for the commanding officer, Sergeant Major Leiva enacted a series of involved and targeted efforts to advocate for both the permanent personnel and students assigned to the command. His focus on the recognition of superior enlisted leaders through numerous meritorious awards spurred and increased morale. Sergeant Major Leiva's leadership and efforts in ensuring the school staff and training cadre were manned and equipped to accomplish their mission during the coronavirus global pandemic ensured the Commandant's mission-critical task of sustaining entry-level production was met, while he simultaneously enhanced individual resilience and flexibility. His passion, personal investment, and institutional sagacity were critical in sustaining the good order and discipline of the company teams, who had trained over 17,000 Marines annually. He provided mature mentorship and a superlative example to all Marines within the command. Sergeant Major Leiva's superior performance and duties have culminated his 30 years of honorable and dedicated military service. Sergeant Major Leiva's dynamic direction, keen judgment, and loyal dedication to duty reflected great credit upon him and were in keeping with the highest traditions of the Marine Corps and the United States Naval Service. For the President, signed, Louis A. Craparata, Lieutenant General, United States Marine Corps, Commanding General, Training and Education Command. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. To all who shall see these presents greeting, this is to certify that Sergeant Major Luis M. Leiva, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Marine Corps on the first day of April, 2021. Signed, D.H. Berger, General, United States Marine Corps, Commandant of the Marine Corps. Certificate of Appreciation for service in the Armed Forces of the United States of America, Sergeant Major Luis M. Leiva, United States Marine Corps. I extend to you my personal thanks and the sincere appreciation of our grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice in keeping with the proud traditions of military service. I trust that in the coming years you will maintain an active interest in the armed forces and the purpose for which you served. Those who follow in your footsteps will draw inspiration from your commitment, dedication, and sacrifices made to ensure the protection of our American freedoms. My best wishes to you for happiness and successes in the future. Signed, Donald J. Trump, Commander-in-Chief. Dear Sergeant Major Leiva, the Marine Corps has been your profession for the last 30 years, and you have served with distinction. Many aspire to be a Sergeant Major, but those who achieve it are few, and they must clearly demonstrate the exceptional leadership qualities we have come to expect of our senior Marines. You have a reason to be proud of your most successful career. As a teacher to young Marines, a source of wise counsel, and as an example of those soldierly virtues we so admire, you have made a mark on the Corps that will remain long after you have left our active ranks. There are many young Marines you have influenced who will also carry on in the same fine tradition that has always characterized the United States Marine Corps. You have my best wishes for good health and continued successes in the years ahead. Semper Fidelis, D.H. Berger, signed, Commandant or General, United States Marine Corps, Commandant of the Marine Corps. Dear Sergeant Major Leiva, on the occasion of your retirement, I would like to extend my congratulations and heartfelt thanks for your many years of dedicated service and selfless devotion to our country and Corps. You have made a tremendous contributions and sacrifices throughout your Marine Corps career. As you prepare to enter this new chapter of your life, you can look back with immense pride and satisfaction on all that you have accomplished. You have set an example of professionalism and leave a standard of excellence for all Marines who will carry on the legacy of our Corps. My wife, Stacy, joins me in wishing you continued successes in the future. Semper Fidelis. Signed, Troy E. Black, 19th Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. Now joining her husband is Mrs. Brenda SSB Leiva. United States Marine Corps Certificate of Appreciation presented to Mrs. Brenda A. Leiva on the occasion of the retirement of your spouse. Your unfailing support and understanding helped make possible your spouse's decision to make the United States Marine Corps a career. You have earned the Corps' grateful appreciation for your unselfish, faithful, and devoted service. On behalf of the Marine Corps and the School of Infantry-East, we thank you. Given under my hand this 15th day of January, 2021, signed, B.W. Tippett, Colonel, United States Marine Corps, Commanding. Ladies and gentlemen, the retiring officer, Colonel Bradford W. Tippett.
Not that I think that anything I'm going to say is worthy of recording, but they've asked me to do this. So, okay, I'm doing it. I'm breaking the seal here. I promise that we'll get more than 20 feet from everybody here. It's important to me when I give these remarks that Chino's timing apparently. I know you're going to time my remarks. It's good. I want the whole thing to be shown. I want you to see the emotions on my face. I want you to know that my words are coming out, but they're more to that. So I need full transparency in how I emote as well as what I say. So let's just probably put this somewhere. Welcome everybody to Camp Geiger. This may be someplace that you have not visited before, and for others you've been here many a times. It's a special place, and I'm thankful that you chose to be here with us today. If you're here virtually, thanks for that opportunity as well to stop, share a little bit of your day with us as we do two things. One, we take the time to be able to recognize, as you heard, a time-honored tradition where we pass responsibility from two of our senior leaders and then mark that. Now, these are two phenomenal leaders that were stood in front of you all today. Not me, the other two, right? These men are folks who have done remarkable things in their career, and we're going to take that time, as we've done, to be able to recognize them, but also to be able to take the time to be able to stop and pause and say, hey, Chino, you've meant a lot to us, and spend a little time reflecting on that, sharing a few thoughts, maybe cracking a few jokes, laughing a little bit, I think. So for those of you who have joined us to celebrate in this day, thanks for being here live and or Memorex. So some older people in the crowd laughed at that. For the younger folks, just go look it up on YouTube, right? Is it live or is it Memorex, right? And you'll figure it out. So I think kind of just to start off with two special introductions to the Leiva family and to the Painter family. The things that you all have done are things that perhaps you realize, perhaps sometimes you don't. I know your husbands probably have told you, hey, thanks, we appreciate it. But the successes that they've got to come to this pinnacle, the pinnacle in rank, but also the pinnacle in service in the case of Chino, are things that ought not be taken lightly, and I don't want you to do that. You have, through what you've invested in your husband, and your dad, and your son, and your brother, whatever the relationship you've had with these men is special. And they would not be here either assuming this responsibility and or kind of saying, hey, this is it. It's been a good ride on 30 years of active service. So thanks for not only being here today, but thanks for investing in your Marine for the past 30 years or coming up on 30 years to get them here. Sergeant Major East and AJ, thanks for coming down as a representative training command and the command team there between you and General Morris. You know, you guys have had our back here for Chino and I for the past 18 months or so. We've appreciated that. The freedom of action we get down here to kind of do what we think is the intent and to move forward in directions we think are right has been appreciated. And the backing that we get when we're like, yeah, we think this is it, and you're like, yep, press. Super important. Thanks for being here today and sharing this with us. Okay, so where do you kind of start when you're thinking about 30 years of service and reflecting on that time? I'm going to get there. Before I get into that detail, what I just want to say is I think to Buck, man, you're the third sergeant major I've gotten in command. I had Sergeant Major Warren for about 3 months. I breathed this real like, how's the next guy going to be? Man, so much I'm going to say in a minute. I kind of did that same thing when I got 5-6 more months in command. I got a new teammate coming aboard. Hold your breath. I couldn't be more excited to have you and Tracy aboard the team here to work with Cammie and I at the School of Infantry-East. As you said, you fought hard to get here. You got a lot of history with SOI East. And I think the fact that not only the history, but also, the maneuvering that you did to get to this position, to be in this position of leadership, speaks volumes to, not only your commitment to the mission we have here, but also to the men and women that make up this team. And I couldn't be happier to have a guy like you on my flank for the remaining time that I have in command. I look forward to it. All I'm going to learn from you and all we get the opportunity to be able to do together for the next few months. So welcome aboard to both of you, and thanks for everything so far. So I'm going to shift gears completely now to Chino and his team. I'm the supernumerary, if you will, to this, right? So I think Lieutenant Colonel Russ Pound's probably out there dialed into this right now. So Russ, I'm going to recognize publicly that you were Chino's first choice to come do this. God bless COVID, because I get to do it now, right? So I'm not apologetic about it at all, right? But Russ has a special relationship with Chino that they share, and I'll highlight a couple of those things. But combat brings men and women together in a special way, in a special bond, and those two men had that bond. So Russ, I'm hopeful that what I do today will be representative of, no doubt, what you would have done in better form, but I'm going to give it my best shot. So I think the thing that is important to, before we kind of kick off on things and talk about who Chino is as a man and who he is as a leader, who he is as a father, is to kind of appreciate, what's the framework we're going to use to be able to do this in, right? How are we going to view Chino? Because he's a dad, he's a husband, he's a Marine, he's a leader, he's a teammate, he's all those things. And I'm going to offer here in just a minute kind of a way to be able to look that I think applies to all those things. But I want to just acknowledge up front that I'm going to lose it a little bit in this, right? And I say lose it, you're going to see me emote, sometimes in a happy way and sometimes not. I told Cammie last night, and I gave Chino a fair warning. I have not been able to get through a certain portion of my remarks without shedding a tear, and I don't think that I've got it in me to do that. So it's coming. I gave her a warning order, so she's got, like the good seasoned spouse. She's got a tissue tucked underneath her sleeve right here that she's ready to pull out. She may be handing that to me. She doesn't know that yet, but oftentimes we talk about bittersweetness in these days, right? It's a bittersweet day. We talk about the sweetness of all the things that are to come, but the bitterness because we're saying farewell to a teammate. And Chino, I did some talking over the last couple of weeks. We've done a lot of talking for the last 18 months. But I think that he and I both have resigned ourselves to, in a good way, this is not a bitter day. There's no bitterness to this day whatsoever. This is simply a sweet day. Well, he helped me get there, right? Don't think that I was there, right? I was still stuck on some bitterness up until about 2 weeks ago. But as we were talking, and I was kind of thinking about the things that may be important for him, for me to be able to emphasize today and doing some of those things, one of the things that I wanted to continue to learn from him and reflect on a little bit and draw some examples upon were things that he looks back and says, hey, in my past, these things happened, et cetera. Maybe I would have done some things different. So I asked him a specific question. I said, hey, what would you have done differently, knowing what you know now? What would you have changed? 30 years experience of looking back, because what I'm seeking to do is I got a couple more years left in me. If I would have done those things or I'm about to do them, then I'm going to be like, no, I'm not going to do those. Or I'm going to do them the way that he would have done them. He stopped for just a minute, paused, thought, and emphatically came back with nothing. I wouldn't have changed a thing. And I'm like, man, come on, right? 30 years, right? You've punted some things into the stands 30 years, right? You've had some things that were not enjoyable for 30 years. You've done some things that you're not proud of in the last 30 years. All those things. I'm like, come on, nothing? And what he said to me kind of put the cap on the things that I've learned from him, and I'm just like, wow, that's it. And he said, I sit here today, and I'm paraphrasing, but not badly. I sit here today completely fulfilled, full of joy. Right? I got here today because of all those individual events, good, bad, indifferent, miserable, joyful, traumatic, all of them together put me here in the place where I'm at with my family, with my Marines, with my sailors, their families. I'm full of joy and completely fulfilled. And if I were to change one of those things, he tells me, I wouldn't be here. Man. Just like one last thing to kind of like, okay, let me write that one down because no bitterness though, sweetness, because he's full of joy. He's completely fulfilled, and he's where he wants to be. I don't know what the future holds for you, Chino, but I know it's going to be awesome because you will continue to employ that mindset and that lifestyle and that just wholeheartedness of, hey, everything comes for a reason. A divine scripting to put you here today. So what's the framework we're going to use? We're going to use the following framework to be able to describe Chino. Whatever capacity you've known him in, and some of you are going to be like, that's exactly it. Chino's a guy who invested in moments, and he led with love in each one of those moments. That's our framework for the next few minutes when we talk about Chino. Some of you are like, I don't get that, Brad. I know him, but I don't get that. I'll give you an illustrative example that I think is not going to spoil the rest of my marks, just steal my own thunder, but what did Chino do today? His last day in uniform, last day. All this stuff going on, family members coming in. He's got like 17 people like in his house right now. We high-fived last night, fist bump last night on his way home. And he said, hey, see you tomorrow morning, sir. Just so you know, I PT'd, not just a PT, but I wanted to shower before I got home because I knew there'd be no hot water at home. And he was probably right because it's not 17, but I think it's like 9 other people in his house right now. But that's love, right? That's how you do it in the Leiva household. He's got all this stuff going on, retirement, 30 years, emotions, everything else. What does Chino choose to do on that last day in uniform? He chooses to get up early and do something he's done before. It's not unique to today. He did it when he was, for the past year and a half. He did it when he was here before the HNS Sergeant Major. He's done it other places. He got up extra early, linked up with the team at the front gate, and he stood post at the gate. And he welcomed the Marines, sailors, civilian teammates, families aboard Marine Corps Air Station New River. Why did he do that? I think he enjoys it, right, for one. What is it about it he enjoys? I think it's because in that 2 to 3 hour period that he gets to do that, he gets to have hundreds of individual moments with people. They're short, but he starts off with a greeting and a smile, and you all know the smile, right? It's infectious. He gets to offer some encouragement in a way that only he can, hundreds of times in 2 or 3 hours. That's who he is. And that's what he did on the last day that he spent in uniform. He got up early and took on that task one last time to have 200, 300, 400 moments with people. Some of them strangers, some of them not. That's the guy we're going to talk about today. So where do you start 30 years of reflections? I think somewhere you got to start back at the beginning. I thought perhaps about going way back, like back to New York. I thought about maybe the stories about, time spent on his knees with rice underneath there and learning discipline. You can elaborate on that one if you want to, man, but he and I shared some things. Chino learned the value of discipline. He learned love. He learned commitment as well in that house in New York. But I'm not going to go all the way back there. That's probably enough for now. Statute of limitations, I think, are passed, but CPS will not be called. I thought about maybe going to Parris Island, where he kind of started that journey on some yellow footprints, but I'm not going to go there. I thought for a brief moment about going and starting at Fort Sill, but as I stand on the School of Infantry logo, I'm like, I'm not going to the School of Artillery on this. So we're going to go to year number 1, not the first couple steps or not before. We're going to go to about 29 years ago, where a young PFC on a UDP has a young, beautiful woman enter stage left, right? That woman to his right now. Maybe you entered stage left, I don't know, right? Probably so. I'm not gonna lie to you, there's a couple competing versions of the story of how they actually met. Whether or not the first person to be asked out was Brenda or her friend, I don't know, and I'm not gonna get into all the details of that. But what I do know is Brenda was working as a cashier at the PX. And Chino, rightfully so, became quickly smitten with her. And Chino started to invest in the moments. What did that look like? A PFC that bought more Hallmark cards and lifesavers on a weekly basis than probably was advisable by his company first sergeant. Like, why are you spending all this money? Well, it got him an opportunity to be able to go up, to be able to get to Brenda's, line, to be able to arrive at her register. All the people's like, hey, go ahead. He's like, no, I'm good. I'll stay right here in this line. To be able to have a few short moments with his bride-to-be and invest in her and to develop their relationship. But I think that's not just those lifesaver Hallmark cards moments that he invested in, just to get a little bit of time with her, a few words, to see her, to be a little bit of micro time with her. As they were developing their relationship, what he also saw, and this is kind of the unique part of Chino, it's not just the moments, but he also sees kind of the impactful moments, the ones that many of us just overlook. We're like, oh man, in the rearview mirror, that would have been awesome, right? Chino sees them in advance, right? He sees them coming, and he doubles down on them, right? And one of those, I'm going to share, so for the Marines in the room, I'm going to share something, and you're going to be like, are you kidding me? What an idiot, all right, when I tell this story about Chino. So for the older guys and gals in the room, we used to do this thing called mess duty, right? And units would assign folks to mess duty. Right, we didn't have civilized chow halls at the time. The Marines there, we had the food service Marines, but the units, especially on deployment, would say, okay, you're going to go on mess duty, and you're going to contribute to, this mission of feeding the force. Chino was on mess duty, all right? Okay, brace yourself, because some of you Marines are going to get angry with this. Chino volunteered to stay on mess duty, past his allotted time, because he saw this moment coming up with Brenda. Right? So, volunteered to stay on mess duty? Now, he volunteered to stay on mess duty, and in doing so, knowingly gave up the opportunity to go with his unit on exercise down to the Philippines. Right? This is the early 1990s, right? Philippines was still a place to be as a young single Marine, right? Still single at the time. So he not only volunteers to stay on mess duty, but he passes up an opportunity to go to the Philippines on exercise and associated liberty. He saw this moment. He was going to take this young lady to high school prom. And he had to make some sacrifices by staying on mess duty and foregoing the opportunity to go to the Philippines and train and go on liberty and do all the things that are awesome we hear stories about, so he could take Brenda to prom. And he did it. And that set the course for a love affair that's continued for the last 29 years. That's produced this, right? This clan that brings joy to just about anybody who will take the time to look at it, get to know these folks, and I've done that over the last 18 months, and it's been awesome. They, like all of us who have spent time in the Marine Corps, have encountered the high points and the low points, the challenges, the opportunities the Marine Corps Life Brigade, delivers to us. That came with deployments, that came with combat deployments, that came with unexpected moves, that came with all these things. But consistent in all that was Chino hammering away in a good way daily his commitment to his wife and to his family and to his children. It came in the way of more Hallmark cards. Brenda actually told me, she's like, Brad, if I'd invested in Hallmark stock 29 years ago, my retirement package would look completely different now, had I only known, right? Hallmark cards to the kids, to Brenda, with words of encouragement, affirmation, love, the value that they mean to him. Things like, early redeployment, surprising folks, right? Seen the video, right? Seen the video, right? If you haven't seen the video, he's got 2 awesome videos of one of his redeployments that both Brenda and Isaiah at the time didn't know he was redeploying, and that they're good. He orchestrates those types of things to be able to communicate his love to those people that truly are at the center of who he is as a person. So the little mementos, of, hey, I was somewhere and you were always at the forefront of my mind, and I bring these things back. And if you've been in their home, it's surrounded with those things, we call them tchotchke. They're little implements of love, right, that Chino has delivered back. And I'm gonna dive in just for a moment, because it would be inappropriate for me not to relay this portion of the story. One of those, it was a moment where these 4 little Eskimos were involved, right? Chino was, I believe, a sergeant at the time, stationed at Mountain Warfare Training Center in Bridgeport, right? And he had deployed for training up to Alaska to get some advanced skills and some training. And while he was there, was injured, and he sustained severe frostbite on 9 of his 10 fingers while he was there. To the point that the doctors expected him to lose 4 of his fingers. He didn't, thankfully, by the grace of God. I think he would accredit that. But he redeploys, having endured that, right? Having all those things, which, the training itself, and then this injury that was severe in nature, and he comes back with this little figurine of 4 Eskimos huddled together, looking up to the sky. A guy that, despite all that adversity, continues to stay committed to those things and those mannerisms which communicate his love to his family. So 4 little Eskimos sit on a shelf in the Leiva household, reminding them of just that value and that commitment that the man has for his family. And Mindy, Isaiah, Brenda, I don't have to tell you because you've lived it, but I'm going to say it to everybody else and to you overtly here. You have always been and will always be the most important thing to your dad and to your husband. Unquestionable. I think I could probably, I might be more well served just to go ahead and set the mic down now. I think the cups are filling up at this point. But I'm not gonna. I'm gonna keep going, maybe against my better judgment. Because while that's who he has been as a father and a husband, and he's also been that same guy who made those investments in Marines and in people that he's worked with. And I have to illuminate some of those at this point in time. So I'm going to go there, and we'll talk a little bit about just a couple of his illustrations. So what does it look like when he does that same type of thing, investing in moments and leading with love when it comes to his teammates, with these people who are in uniform, the same cloth that he's borne for the past 30 years? It looks like a PFC, right? A PFC that's walking down the street, one of the camps in Okinawa on Thanksgiving Day. All by himself. And Sergeant Leiva, now assigned, not UDP, Sergeant Leiva over there, drives by with a fully laden vehicle of Marines from his section already, right? Packed in there. Probably not seatbelt laws and everything else, but he's got this, and they're heading back to his house to be able to celebrate Thanksgiving dinner. And he sees this PFC. He doesn't know the PFC well, but he sees him, and he sees this Marine alone on Thanksgiving Day. And Sergeant Leiva pulls over the vehicle and kind of calls this Marine over And at this point, this Marine, do I have a belt on? Do I have a haircut? Am I in appropriate civilian attire? And he's going through the gamut of, oh man, what did I do that the sergeant's calling me over? And you know what it sounds like if you've heard it. Hey, what are you doing? Sergeant, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? You want to come over and eat Thanksgiving with me and my family? TFC walking on the road. Opportunity to invest, to lead with love in that moment. That, for perspective, he's already got a fully laden vehicle. This would have taken him going to his house, dropping off these people. Right? By the way, one more is coming. Goes back, picks up this Marine, and then comes back and celebrates Thanksgiving. It would have been glorious. This Marine, to his loss, I guess, not only did he not get to experience what it's like to get food in the Leiva household, because as Brenda communicated to me, and I think it's an accurate statement, that's love, right? Food is love in the Leiva household, and he missed that opportunity because he declined. But what he didn't miss is the investment that Chino made in him, because it stuck with him. It stuck with him for a long time, since that point in time. And it made him a leader, and to be able to do the same things that he could do to other folks. I think it also looks like a company first sergeant in Afghanistan in 2009 and 2010 during some of the highest tempo and some of the fiercest fighting in Helmand Province that the Marines and RC Southwest encountered. It looked like a senior enlisted leader at the company, a second CEB, working with Lieutenant Colonel Russ Pound now at the time. That command team paired together of a guy investing in his Marines and sailors and in their families in the traditional ways, sitting down, coaching and mentoring. How you doing? How are things going? It was all those things. But it was also the guy who knew that to demonstrate and to act in the moments and lead with love was also to say, we need an aid driver. I'm your aid driver on mission today. And he steps up and does it. Knowing the danger that was required to be faced, and the fact that he didn't have to do that. And one particular part of that deployment kind of sticks out to me as Russell was relaying it to me and some of the comments that he offered. And so this was the time frame for those of you who were there, you know it. I was there during this time frame working on the staff. And in the northwestern portion of Helmand Province, there's two cities. One of them is Nalzad, right? And we had an outpost in Nalzad for a while, but it had effectively been cut off, kind of like when you think back to Vietnam and Quezon, when it got to the point where aerial resupply was the only way we were getting there. Very, very similar to that. And the Infantry Battalion, 3rd Battalion, 4th Marines, under Lieutenant Colonel Wederower, had set out to accomplish the mission of reopening those ground lines of communication so that those Marines and those outposts could receive more consistent, more available lines of communication, supplies, et cetera, going through a Taliban stronghold, right, to get there. Russ and Chino teamed up a first of a first with regards to the capability they put together. It would affectionately become known as Task Force Rhino, right? And the employment of the assault breacher vehicle, which the Marines out here, most of you know what that is. Its first combat deployment, or operational employment of that capability. And as they're figuring these things out, Chino is seeing these moments where it's not only where he's going to be in his presence, but he's going to figure out problems and be able to be there and lead by example, but also by force of personality in person at those points of friction. And as they saw this, when they started planning this, and they said a critical aspect of this is going to be, we have to sustain the tempo of this breach. And the critical aspect of that is this transition from an assault breacher vehicle that is fired its line charge, right? This is it's a rocket that shoots out, and it's got hundreds of pounds of high explosives, and they detonate it, and it blows, and they go and clear those. So this is what this vehicle's doing. It clears it after it shot this rocket. But to be able to maintain the tempo all the while under enemy fire, we've got to figure out how to get those vehicles reloaded quickly and back into action. That's the point of friction. And Chino steps up and says, that's where I'm going to be. That's where I need to be. And he develops processes and procedures novel to everyone because we hadn't done this before on how that would be done. And they cleared a lane into Nalzad, 5 kilometers, a 5-kilometer breach. And at that point of friction, literally under enemy fire throughout the duration of this, calm, poised, continuing to be able to ensure that we maintain tempo in that operation as United States Marines, that his Marines understood what they were doing, that they were capable of what they were doing, that they were assured as they went forward again with another charge to face more fire from the enemy, that they were doing the right thing, and he was there with their back. And he did that, and we successfully got the nose out. And we opened that line of communication because a guy like that invested in the moments in a way that was required of him by leading by his example and by his presence. It also looks like a commander, probably a lot of commanders, quite honestly, but I'm going to talk about one. It looks like a commander team with a senior enlisted advisor, a sergeant major, and as they're working through things together, inevitably, for those who have been a part of command teams before, and those of you who have been commanders, either out there on the net or otherwise, you recognize that it's not a harsh reality, it's just a reality. There are certain things that only commanders get to do. Yep, and there's certain things that only commanders can do when it comes to the responsibility of it. And they're not the pleasant ones either. They're heavy. They're decisions that, hey, here's the decision to be made, and neither option is good, but a decision's got to be made. And we've had those. And Chino's seen them. He's looked out. He sees them materializing. And he starts this process. He starts grabbing things up. I got this one. He goes to the XO. XO, check it out. We got to take things off the SEAL's plate. He pulls those things off. And after he's cleaned up as much as he can, taken as much away from me, while I'm laden with this responsibility that he sees on me, he comes in, closes the door. He doesn't say anything. He looks at me. And with perfect empathy, he communicates, I see you. I see the load you have. It sucks. You and I both know that you have to bear this alone. I can't take it from you. But I'm going to stand here right by your side until we get over this. That's what he does. Those are the moments he invests in. It's tremendous. And I think it only is made a little bit more tremendous when you think about how that stretches out over time. How when you invest in those moments, what it looks like when it plays out. That PFC walking down the street in that camp, got a sergeant major in the Marine Corps right now. Right now, he's serving as a sergeant major in the Marine Corps. Not the sergeant major, a sergeant major out on one of our independent posts and leading Marines in a way that Chino showed him how. It looks like a coastie that as she's going through hard times in training, specifically she, going through challenges in recruit training, hard time, physical challenges, she hears her dad, you got this, girl. You can do this. She did have it, and she does have it. It looks like a Marine lieutenant who beams with pride, not only when he gets to wear his flight suit into the School of Infantry, right? Right? There's not a whole lot of folks I'm going to let that slide with, right? I let that slide with Isaiah. But beams with pride when he gets the opportunity on his last flight as he completes his pilot training as an MV-22 pilot to be able to bring his dad on that last flight. Beams with pride. And it looks like an airman who spent formidable years with his uncle and aunt, saw their love, felt their love, saw their coaching, and it meant enough. The impact was great enough that literally traveled from halfway around the world from his post in Korea to be here with you all today. That's what that looks like. It looks like the men and women from Task Force Rhino who have gone on to be NCOs, staff NCOs, field grade officers that continue to make impacts in our service and the lives of their Marines and sailors and in their families, but in their own families as well. They talk about their better husbands, their better fathers, that they know what it looks like to achieve balance, even in the most arduous circumstances, between what they have to do professionally and what they need to be as a husband, as a wife, as a dad, as a mom. And they learn that from you. And it looks like a commander that has seen and knows the true value of empathy on the part of a great leader, and who gained a friend for life via 18 service together. Chino, I don't know if I hope I've done service to who you are. That was 20-something, 30 minutes, I don't know. You've been entrusted with many small things, and in turn you were given more responsibilities as a result of that, and now it's time for you to do some resting, right? I want you to rest knowing that the legacy that you have left, it's here, it's out there, right? Those men and women who are better because of your leading with love and you investing them in moments, that legacy is vast and it's firm and it's going to endure. Thank you for everything you've been to so many people. Semper Fidelis.
How do you follow something up like that? I was telling Brenda and I were talking, I tried to stop Mickey. It was about 3 days ago. I said I would not cry, and I will not cry. But I can't guarantee that my eyeball will not be sweating a little bit. So, sir, thank you so much for the kind words. I look around the room and I mean, I'm just humbled by the amount of people that are here to celebrate this moment with me. But one of the things that I told myself when this time came, I was going to start off with the first thing I want to talk about was, as Stu mentioned, one of the most important things in my life. So she doesn't know it, she's not going to like it, but again, it's my day. So I'm going to ask my wife to come up and stand beside me. That had not been the case. I had not had a great woman by my side. Because for the majority of the time, the woman I had, I was doing everything I could to try to keep up with her. The example she set for our family is unbelievable. And I have no problem telling anybody, I've never had a short woman by my side. Because I was the one in the back, looking at her example and how she raised our children, the love she had for our grandkids, the love she has for anybody that's ever come into her life, that I always try to be more like her. And there's no words today, tomorrow, ever that I would ever be able to tell you how important it was. So for that I say thank you. And I say I love you. And I'm going to set the record straight. Right? Part of what the seal was talking about how we met. Unfortunately, this is being recorded, so I can't go back and change it. But that is true. I met her on my first EP. I was a PFC. And it's ironic when I thought about it, that I would go up to the exchange and I would buy, lifesavers just to go through her life, not really knowing that she was a lifesaver. Not the kid, her. And you were awesome. And yes, I've fallen short more times than I can count. But I've only been able to be successful because she's been so solid in keeping me where I need to be, focusing me on where I need to go, and leading our family there. And I would not be here if it were not for her. She's put up with me longer than my own mother has. The good thing is she's never put me a meal on rice. True story. And my brother could attest. And I think maybe that's why I got some knee problem now. I still got the bit of the rice. And it wasn't cooked rice either. It wasn't conditioned. It was raw. Right? But that's a story for another time. But Brenda, I just want to say, thank you for leading, for being the pillar of our family. And we are all here, all of us, because of you. And I wanted you to be the first one that I acknowledge today, because I would not be standing here had it not been for you. So, I've been asked many times, like, how'd you do it? How were you able to, do what you did for 30 years? Here's reason number one, most importantly, and this is, a little book we all have, and, some, maybe not in school, is my cover. but yeah, is that it? And I will tell you that other things that have allowed me to continue to go forward and do what I need to do is when I would get to work one day and I'd open up my book, and I'd be like, oh, man, there's a yellow post-it right in here. It says, have a great rest of the day. Love ya. We always say, yeah. Zaya. Or I would go to a different page in here, and I kept it. Right here. Daddy, hey there. I just want you to know that I love you. Thank you for everything you do for me. You're the best. Love, Mindy. Or, I love you, Papa. I got note cards that they will leave on my desk. Oh, hi. Well, I was dropping by for a surprise visit, but you were in a meeting. I hope you're having a great day. I love you, Blocks. Melinda. And then I also got some cool stuff over here for my nephew. You recognize that, Willis? Yeah. December 5, till the day I die. USMC. Love, Willie. So whenever I was having those moments, whenever I was wondering, hey, do I need to keep going, or why am I doing what I'm doing? I would just refer back to this little book. And I would have something from all the ones that meant the most to me, that allowed me to do what I needed to do and gave me the strength, to continue going forward. So, Mindy, Isaiah, Will, I love you. I love you more than I ever put into words. And I'm so proud of the young woman and the men that you become, the mother, the husband, father one day. I'm sure your mom is, when you got Shirley. I'm sure she's waiting for your son, daughter, kids to come. But it is because of you all that I feel blessed to be able to be where I'm at today. And to know that each of you are serving your countries, not because I made you, not because I had anything to do, because of the decision of your own free will. I mean, that is awesome. So thank you for that. So with the most important people in my life being recognized and thanked first, which I think was important. Mom, again, rice, no rice. Thank you. You, Dad, the love, whether it was painful or not, that you showed growing up, again, has allowed me to be where I'm at. I got my brother, I got one of my sisters here, through good times, bad times, through times of not talking or times of talking, whatever it is, we've always been family, we will always be family. My little sister, Linda, I'm hoping that she's watching. And again, I love you all. I love you all. And I'm grateful for the childhood that I had growing up with each and every one of you. Because regardless of what anybody says, we had a great childhood. Wasn't always good, but it wasn't always bad. But it's always memorable. And I can always look back on it and not regret any moment of it. So thank you. I told him before, and I was glad I looked over the bag. Thank you for your presence. You made every ceremony just that much better. I just thought my great smile, my awesome flat top would be enough. Your music and what you provide to any ceremony, it just brings it to the next level. So thank you, and if you would, please join me in a round of applause for the band. AJ, thank you to my peers, sergeants, majors, master gunnery sergeants. I look around the room, I see in this back corner over there, mentors that I had when I was a corporal, my battalion sergeant major, Sergeant Major Pulley. Holy cow. Man, if there was an art to rip and tear and just making it look and sound good, and he's retired, statute of limitations, oh God. I mean, it was awesome. And if you don't believe me, I got a dear friend of mine. I'm not even going to share the story on how our great friendship began, but he was part of that relationship over there. Chuck, thank you so much for being here. I look around the room. I got an awesome friend of mine right here. He's a uncredentialed fitness expert, a self-proclaimed Instagram influencer, and an awesome dude. We met in Korea, not the war. Not that old. We were both there unaccompanied, and the relationship and the friendship that we built there many years ago, it's still as strong as ever. And I got some things lined up for us that I want to do once I'm retired. We're going to start our own Jacksonville running club. A lot of things going on for us. I look on this side of the room. I got a great friend of mine for years. He's a sergeant major now. I think he was maybe a sergeant or a staff sergeant. I can't remember. I was a gunny when we met back in Okinawa. And I'm telling you, his leadership, even though he was junior to me in rank, was what allowed me to be successful. I was a brand new section chief, coming off of 3 years of not doing the duty, and I didn't know which end around we're going to the tube, and it was because of him that I was able to be successful and continue to go forth and be great. So Chris, brother, I'm telling you, your family, all of you, I love you, and thank you for that. And I wish I could just go around the room and I could share stories. I could share a story that I heard, about a gentleman by the name of Tato Gonzalez. But I'm not. Awesome. I got Big Bo Frazier over there, having served together with first sergeants. I'm telling you, everything that I am, everything that I've been able to accomplish is not because of me. It's because of the people that I've been blessed to be surrounded with. That have allowed me, that have mentored me, that have guided me, that have given me what I needed when I needed it, to be able to be successful. And everything that I got, all of this chest candy, this right here, this is not mine. This is not mine. This is Damien's, this is John's, this is Matt's, this is Russ's, this is Dee's. These are all the senior listed battalion sergeants, majors, and the senior listed advisor for the McKick. I got the master gunnery sergeants, Aikens, and all of you have made this journey the last 18 months here at SOI amazing. My phone never went off. And I would get a text, hey, here's your information, this is what you need to know, we got it for action, we're good to go. So to my sergeants majors, I'm telling you, I love each and every one of you. And first off, back there, I didn't forget you. All of you. I love you. Thank you for making my job easy. Thank you for allowing me to be successful sitting in the seat as a School of Infantry-East sergeant major. I got another first sergeant over here, the one that escorted my wife, Byron. He is the one when I got to Okinawa unaccompanied for 18 months as a sergeant major for 4th Marine Regiment, the oldest and the proudest. He's the one that took me under his wing and showed me what I needed to do, being that he had sat in the seat as a first sergeant. He's the one that allowed me to be successful over there. And it's during those times that we build relationships and bonds with individuals that that are never gonna be lost. I'm hoping that the live stream is going to everybody that's out there, you know, and if you can't see me, like I put, that's the Space Force. That's not me. You know, everybody here did everything we could, but for some reason, if it wasn't working, I told everybody, blame the Space Force. Right? They have control of all the cybers and all that stuff out there. Russ, you know, Colonel Perry, so many commanders that are out there, so many friends, so many senior enlisted, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on this special day. As the CEO mentioned, it is bittersweet, but you know, people ask me, you know, are you good? Are you okay? And I was like, 100%, I'm good. I am ready to pass it off to someone else. I've done everything that I've wanted to do. I've achieved the rank of Sergeant Major. I've been able to stay in for 30 years and serve alongside some awesome men and women. And I've been able to wear this uniform, doing my part. And I couldn't ask for anything more. And I leave today, retired today, knowing that the Corps is in great hands with the men and women that we are training here, you know, to take the Marine Corps into the future. And I know many of you over there, maybe looking at it, taking pictures, looking like, oh man, that haircut, awesome. I got my barber Darius over there, he's been cutting my hair forever. Yeah, he gave my grandson his first haircut. Both of them, well, he gave Christian his first haircut. I know, Audrey, you didn't, I'm sorry. You know, I could be here and look at each and every one of you, you know, and share a story, but I'm not going to do that. And the reason I'm not going to do that is because right outside those doors, when we are done here, there is a reception. And I got a guy that I had met in Okinawa that makes some awesome street towels. And I contacted him and I said, hey, I'm retired. He retired, he came back to North Carolina, and I said, hey, would you cook for my retirement? And he was like, absolutely. So once we're done here, you know, we're gonna open it up to some awesome chow. I know my dear friend Aaron over here, who he told his leadership over at PMO was like, hey, I'm gonna be at this retirement. You can either let me go, or you can, I'll be ready to sign counseling when I get back. But Aaron, yours, Christie's, the boys, I mean, I hadn't even met the guy when we were stationed in Okinawa the first time, back in '97. He was in the field, he was somewhere, and I needed a vehicle. And I had to swim a little bit in the vehicle because it had a lot of water in it. But you know, he let me use his vehicle, not even knowing me, not even knowing who I was, never even met him in person. But again, those are those moments in times, as the CEO mentioned, that you build those relationships with individuals. And many years later, here we are again. I was at your retirement, shed a tear for you. You're at my retirement. I don't expect you to shed a tear for me, and that's okay. But thank you to you and your family for the years of friendship, for always being there, for everything you do. I look right behind him, and I see one of my former commanders, Lieutenant Colonel retired, Les Fu Manchu. Les, thank you so much. That man right there played a huge part in helping Isaiah throughout the process in going through to become a pilot, to the point where he gave him his first set of wings. You know, Les gave Isaiah his first set of wings so Isaiah can wear it. And again, this is the things, and I'm not taking anything away from any of the other services. I'm not taking anything away from, you know, the civilian sector or anything, but this is the things that you only find in an organization like this. And I think the individuals that have stayed in, you know, for more than one enlistment would attest that that's why we do it. If we stay past one enlistment, we don't do it because of the pay, we do it because of the people and the relationships that we build here. And you know, having to pass the sword to Buck today, again, I was like, here, take it. Because an individual that has fought as hard as he has already been mentioned, to get to this point, that is the exact person that you want sitting in this seat. With the experience that he brings here from being here in the past, to what he's done since then, to get to the point of being a sergeant major, and I'm taking the sword at SOI Buck, I'm telling you, you know, I thought you were full of baloney, because Buck was my next door neighbor in Okinawa when I was there unaccompanied, and he was my next door neighbor on UDP, and I had just found out that I had orders to SOI, and again, I just met him, he says, hey, what's the timeline? Did the whole minority report thing, looking at the stuff, sweat. Hey, that works out great, I'm gonna be your replacement. And I was like, oh, that's awesome, great, you know, like, okay. How many years ago? No? August of 18, he told me he was gonna be my replacement. I was like, yeah. Looky here he is. And again, for an individual to want something as bad as he did to come here, and to be here for as long as you're gonna be here 3 years, Buck, I'm telling you, you are the right man for this job. And I am so happy that I was able to pass the sword off to you. And I wish you and your wife Tracy nothing but the best here. Great place to be, surrounded by privates and PFCs every day, where you have the opportunity to reach out and have an impact on the future of the Marine Corps. I'm telling you, awesome. So again, I don't want to make this any longer. Doc, thanks. I see you back there. Doc's been taking care of me, set me up for success. Thankfully, no, I'm not going to go there. Thanks, Doc. Chief, Mass Sergeants, you know, Master Gunner Sergeants, Ron Hagen in the back. I mean, all the civilians, all the people. I got family came in from Florida over here. I got other family that we met in Okinawa that came down. I mean, I got my aunt and uncle and my cousins. You know, Carla, she's got a boot on her foot. Did you put it on?
No.
Oh, you want to put it on? But came in from California just for this. And I'm telling you, there's no words that I could ever tell you to say how grateful I am for that. And to be able to share this moment with each and every one of you, it's awesome. Ricky, man, first encounter I had with Ricky Stroud, I hadn't even met him. He was my sergeant major. I say it because I can't, because it's my day. So, first encounter, it wasn't even a face-to-face. All I have to know is like, hey, take that picture off your wall locker. Because I had a promotion picture of me, you know, because I met people and I was like this. Yeah. And Charlie's, and I was like, hey, don't hate me because you hate me kind of thing. And I guess he came to see me in the office and I wasn't there, but he did see that picture. He said, take that picture down. Roger that. And I'm telling you, the mentorship and the guys I received from you, even after you took off the uniform, I'm telling you, invaluable, and thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I love each and every one of you. I'm sticking around for the next 4 months. My sole purpose, other than my family, is going to be focusing on finishing up school. I should be able to graduate in April, and then I've already talked to the manager. Hey, lead back a position for me, baby. My biggest responsibility: paper plastic. And if I know you and I like you, I'll even double it for you. So your stuff doesn't fall out. So again, please stick around for some chow. We're gonna be in here, and then the room right outside here on the right. There's a little bar classroom that was one of my last things that I wanted to do for the school. So we got it still set up in there. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed with the chow, and I can't have any of this stuff to go home. And then I got an awesome cake and some motivated little cookies over there for everybody. So thank you, guys. I love you all. Thank you for being here with me today.
Good. Flowers are now being presented to Sergeant Major Leiva's wife and mother, and small gifts are being presented to his children for their loyal support and faithful dedication throughout his 30 years of service. Flowers are also being presented to Sergeant Major Painter's wife, Tracy, welcoming her to the School of Infantry-East family. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of Anchors Aweigh and the Marines Hymn. Thank you. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the formal relief and appointment and retirement ceremony. However, please be seated and remain seated for the presentation of Old Glory and the reading of the watch by First Sergeant Byron J. Morris. I am the flag of the United States of America. My name is Old Glory. I fly atop the world's tallest buildings, and I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I fly majestically over great institutions of learning, and I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, honor, truth, and justice. I stand for freedom. For I am confident, I am arrogant, and I am proud. When I am flown with my fellow banners, my head is a little higher, and my colors are a little truer, as I bow to no one. I am recognized all over the world. I am worshipped. I am saluted. I am respected. I am revered, I am loved, and I am feared. I have fought in every battle of every war for more than 200 years. Gettysburg, Shiloh, Appomattox, San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, the Aragon Forest, Anzio, Rome, the beaches of Normandy, Guam, Okinawa, Tarawa, Korea, Vietnam, the Persian Gulf, Iraq, and Afghanistan, and a score of places long forgotten by all, except by those who were there with me, because I was there. I led my sailors and Marines. I watched over them, and I watched them, and they loved me. I was on a small hill of Iwo Jima, where I was dirty, battle-worn and tired, but my sailors and Marines cheered me, and I was proud. I was at Ground Zero in New York City on September 11th, as cowardly fanatics attacked America, but I was raised from the ashes of once proud buildings by the brave firefighters and heroes who risked their lives to save others, showing all that America, although bloodied, would never be beaten, for those who would destroy me cannot win, for I am the symbol of freedom, of one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have been soiled, burned, trampled, and torn on the streets of my own country, and when it is done by those whom I have served in battle, it hurts, but I shall overcome, for I am strong and have slipped the bonds of earth, and watch from the noon, and stand watch over the unchartered new frontiers of space. I have been a silent witness to all of America's finest hours, but my finest hour comes when I'm torn into strips to be used as bandages for my wounded comrades on the field of battle, and when I fly at half-mast to honor my fellow soldiers, and when I lie in the trembling arms of a grieving mother at the gravesite of her fallen son or daughter, I am proud, because my name is Old Glory. Long may I wave, dear God, long may I wave. Sergeant Major Leiva, this is to certify that this American flag was flown over the School of Infantry-East headquarters building at Camp Geiger, North Carolina on 1 January 2021, in recognition of Sergeant Major Chino Leiva and his 30 years of honorable and dedicated military service to our great nation. Sergeant Major Leiva, please accept this flag of our United States of America and display it proudly. Signed, B.W. Tippett, Colonel, United States Marine Corps, School of Infantry-East Commanding Officer.
For 30 years, this Marine stood the watch. As many of us lay about our bunks at night, this Marine, he stood the watch while others were away at schools. This Marine was standing the watch as the storm clouds of war began to brew on the horizon of history. This Marine stood the watch. He often looked back and saw his family needing guidance, but he stayed because he stood the watch. For 30 years, this Marine has stood the watch so that his fellow countrymen can sleep safely and soundly at night, knowing that he stood the watch. So Sergeant Major Leiva, today you stand relieved of the watch by the Marines that you've led, guided, and trained for the last 30 years. But we now have the watch. Semper Fidelis.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us to observe and celebrate today's relief and appointment and retirement ceremony. Please join us for a reception taking place here in the auditorium later and shortly. And on behalf of the Commanding Officer, School of Infantry-East, thank you for your attendance, and Semper Fidelis.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I could, I ask everybody to please, I know we've been here for about a little bit over an hour and a half. Really quick, I promise I'll be quick. There's no way we can honor the service of our dear friend, leader, Sergeant Major Leiva. We can't let him get out of here without at least letting him leave out of here with a small token of appreciation from the Marines and sailors and the family members here at Team East. So, how do you display what size token can you present to a man like Chino Leiva? Number one, he has the East Coast, this version of the Marine Corps Museum. It's not a whole lot he don't have. So the team here, we were perplexed by that. So we did come up with a couple things, a couple tokens. So what you see before you today, we have the American colors, Sergeant Major Chevron on the behalf of the officers, staff NCOs, Marines and sailors here at School of Infantry-East. Sergeant Major Leiva, Chino, you've been a dear friend, a leader, a phenomenal person. And everybody here today has already utilized all the adjectives, the pronouns, and I think I'm out. Everybody stole my words. So on behalf of the team here, we have two tokens of appreciation. We do have one big one that Brenda, please help them carve out a corner. It's coming. Unfortunately, too much going on in that gift that the gentleman that is making it was unable to deliver it on time, but we could not let him go out here empty-handed. So on behalf of the officers and staff and COs, the Marines and sailors of the School of Infantry-East, Sergeant Major Leiva, thank you for your service. Thank you for everything. We love you. Thanks for being a phenomenal teammate.
came out. So, 17,000 students come through here on an annual basis. Been here 18 months, do the math, that's more than 17,000. I don't know what half of 17 is, but add that to 17. Almost 25,000 folks, right? Talking about 25,000 individual brains, privates that have been here and gotten, that next step placed in them by the guidance and leadership that you provided. The permanent personnel that have been here over that last 18 months that you have led the School of Infantry-East. How do you reflect that, and how do you be able to communicate and remember the influence and the impact that you have of investing so much in so many? When I chose, with some help from the friends, Marines, we're sentimental folks, we're terrestrial in nature, although we get a little bit amphibious at times. Dirt matters to us. What's in this decanter is some SOI East dirt. We got Devil Dog dirt, we got Geiger dirt, we got Verona Loop dirt, we got SR dirt in there, Sandy Run dirt. I don't know if it all added up exactly, but I think getting around, if I was doing my math right, we got about 25,000-ish grains of sand in there to represent those products of TFCs that you've influenced, that you've been in the seat here. And on top of that foundation sits the rank insignias, one from each of the permanent personnel here at the School of Infantry-East. All Marines that you've had the opportunity to lead. This is yours. This is not mine. So, your Marines.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, I am just humbled by your presence. I am humbled to have been blessed by God in so many ways that you can't even put that into words. And all I have left to say is thank you. Thank you so much for all you've done, not just for me, but for my family, and for the Marines and sailors that we've been blessed in being service to. So, again, as the SEAL said, I'm hungry.